Behaviorism is an important part of learning and a part of the key to understanding our habits. Behaviorists see learning as a change in behavior that is caused by conditioning or social learning. It is strongly tied to what we learn from the implicit memory lecture in the brain section. The key takeaway from behaviorism is to implement what you learn right away. If there is no change in behavior, no real learning has occurred. Make sure you implement the things you learn from this course and your life will change radically. There are 3 parts to learning in behaviorism. The first is classical conditioning. Like we already explained in the context of implicit memory, it is where you get a reflex response to some stimulus. It is the type of conditioning that most of us associate with the experiment Pavlov did with his dogs. He rang a bell every time he fed the dogs and found that after a while, the dogs would start to salivate before the food was served when they heard the bell. You might have experienced the same with music. We can associate music with certain tasks if we have repeatedly played the same music when we did that task. If it was a task we enjoyed, listening again to that music will spark a desire to perform that task. The second part of behaviorism is operant conditioning. It is when the behavior following a stimulus is either rewarded or punished. You can, for example, give yourself some dark chocolate when you've worked for an hour. As for punishment, you can use the powerful fear of loss bias. An example is a self-imposed rule. Every time you've procrastinated for 30 minutes, you have to give $10 to a friend or a charity. The last part is social learning theory. It is based on learning by modeling observed behavior. A very important point that we've already mentioned is that you tend to become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Think through how this affects your life and start using it to your advantage. Get mentors that are already good at what you want to be good at. Surround yourself with people you admire. Remember the saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.